places. But how the heck do they know that this is nitrogen, hydrogen, helium, whatever the heck it is? Well, this is how they do. They know that on Earth there's hydrogen gas in that tube. Now the tube is made out of, it's made out of crystal. It's not made out of glass, because if it was made out of glass, then you would see the silicone of the sand of the glass. So that's why I only touch the bulbs with a woolen glove, because you don't want to get the oil from your fingerprints, oil from your fingers on the glass. Now this is hydrogen. If you look at this thing, you will notice that there are only certain colors, a red, a blue, a green, and outside in the solar telescope, you see black lines in the same places. So in the early 1800s, Joseph Fraunhofer, want to take a look? Take a look. Anybody? Anyway, so Joseph Fraunhofer in the early 1800s, he took thousands and thousands and thousands of pictures of stars through a prism, and he noticed all of the stars had black lines. All right, red stars had certain types of lines, yellow stars had other types of lines, red stars had others. So the point is, each different type of star had a different kind of lines. He had no clue what these lines were. All he knew is that each color had a characteristic series of lines. Every star was different, but they all sort of were the same. Now, in the Earth, anybody else want to take a look? No. And so in the later 1800s, Joseph Fraunhofer and Kirchhoff and Bunsen. Now Bunsen was the guy who invented the Bunsen burner. And the Bunsen burner, of course, burns very hot with a constant flame. The other guy, one was a chemist, one was a scientist. And so what they did was they were burning elements, copper, lead, whatever, in the flame, and looking at it through a prism. And they noticed bright lines. Each particular element had its own set of bright lines, like fingerprints. So these guys were doing their thing in the middle 1800s, and I guess it was a slow day in the lab, and there was a fire across town. And they looked at the fire through their spectroscope stuff. And what they noticed was, of course, you had the fire, and in the fire, what is burning? Copper wires, lead pipes. So all these common elements are being burned in this fire. And when they looked at it with the spectroscope, they noticed there were black lines. Now in the laboratory, they knew about Fraunhofer, by the way. But they knew Fraunhofer had no idea what it was, and they had no idea. But by looking at this particular fire, they noticed that the lines were in a certain place, and they went back to Fraunhofer's lines and their own records, because remember they've been burning elements for a number of years now, and they noticed that the lines of their copper, their lead, sodium, whatever they were burning, corresponded to these lines.
To the black lines. To the black lines.
So that's how they knew what the black lines were. But there were two lines that they didn't know, that they couldn't find, and they were the sodium lines. Those two black lines you see in the yellow.
Yeah.
They had no idea what those were, because they felt that those lines were not of the Earth. So maybe many years after that, there were some scientists who were they were doing some work with uranium, and they found out that a byproduct of uranium was sodium. No, not sodium. Helium. Oh, they couldn't figure out the helium lines. So a byproduct of the uranium decaying was helium. So these guys went back to their lab and looked at this, and there were the two missing lines. So they were able, at that point, they were able to match up all of the lines of the sun. Now this is just hydrogen. I brought three other bulbs with me.
So up to that point they didn't know helium was there?
Excuse me?
So up to that point they didn't know helium was there?
Well,
They still know how to identify it, I guess.
let me put another bulb in. That bulb is kind of icky.